Were they truly under the impression that you were younger than you actually are? When they realized they were in the presence of a chosen one, with the divine light shining through, they stood in startled silence, dismissing your insight as youthful naivete. Although the outside world may consider your young appearance to be a superficial characteristic, it has been both a blessing and a curse for you. Seeing only inexperience and ignorance, people frequently believe they can undermine you. They believe your young appearance is a reflection of your age, yet they are completely mistaken. Your spirit is ageless, far older than the short years they've used to measure you, but they don't understand that. Long before you were born, the divine hand selected you, and you bear the weight of that wisdom within you. Because they see someone who appears youthful, they believe they can play tricks on you, but they are facing someone who has the ability to shatter their delusions. God has not abandoned you, even when the world attempted to minimize you. Every patronizing smile, contemptuous look, and demeaning deed, it just strengthened the divine purpose that was already underway. They attempted to cross you, assuming you would keep quiet, but your voice, strengthened by something they will never comprehend, is poised to demolish their delusions. Your age and appearance have never defined who you are. As a chosen one, you are trusted with a wisdom that surpasses both space and time. The extent of your inner strength is beyond the world's comprehension. They don't realize that you're not following their rules, but they've underestimated you. You're acting in divine time, guided by a power much bigger than their flimsy assessments. The same old games have been played in your office. Your ideas have been appropriated by colleagues who have taken advantage of your perceived inexperience. With the assurance that your voice is insignificant, they have whispered behind your back. They believed they could discredit you, since to them, youth is synonymous with ignorance. When the time came, though, when everyone was rushing to find answers, you were the one who remained steadfast. With conviction and without hesitation, you presented a novel concept that brought the room to a halt. With tightened teeth, they watched as your thoughts took root and began to grow while their hollow claims vanished into thin air. You displayed the divine wisdom within you, which they were unable to anticipate, rather than merely offering a solution. As a chosen one, the strong energy that emanates from within you is reflected in your young appearance. You are unique because of the light you radiate and the divine spark you possess. Not only your skin tone or physical attributes. Others may get older over time, yet your spirit transcends the typical bounds of human existence. Because you have a strong connection to the source, your spirit is alive, lively, and continually regenerated. You give yourself permission to let that radiant energy flow more freely each time you walk in faith. Let go of negativity or heal old wounds. Your body is revitalized and your soul is continuously renewed. Another factor contributing to this enduring glow is the atmosphere of calm, love, and fortitude you exude. You possess the wisdom of the centuries, as well as the wonder and fun of youth, which makes you timeless and forever alive. You radiate this inner balance, which gives you that indisputable shine that people can't help but notice. Your young appearance is more than simply a physical characteristic. It is evidence of the divine force that permeates you and shows that you are not subject to the same rules as other people. Even if time goes by, the eternal force that keeps you going as a chosen one is unaffected. Unaware of the divine protection that envelops you, they see your youthful appearance as frailty and think they can manipulate or denigrate you. Every effort to weaken you, every utterance intended to tear you down, is met by an invisible force, God's hand steadfastly protecting you. They believe that you're a simple target and that your energy is undeveloped and innocent, but they fail to see that underlying this youthful veneer is the spirit of an ancient soul. a soul that has been tempered by wisdom that is beyond their reach. You are a divine contradiction in and of yourself, young but eternal, vulnerable yet untouchable. God's protection is invisible to them, but it envelops you like armor, fending against every subtle sleight and cunning scheme. You are held steady by the same hands that created the heavens, and no amount of cunning or jealousy can get past this heavenly defense. Because they believe you are too innocent to see the shadows looming around you, they try to damage your reputation. What they don't realize, though, is that God has already breathed their purposes into your soul. Not because you've planned retaliation, but because the Creator has braided your path in ways that they can't undo. You're always 10 steps ahead. The divine power that envelops you is so strong that their schemes fail before they can even take root. Imagine this situation. You feel the undercurrents of treachery and the deceit in your circle. A trusted person is subtly attempting to undermine you, spreading false information and expecting to observe your demise from a safe distance. They believe that you are too blind to see the holes they are trying to make in your relationships, so they can take advantage of you. What they fail to realize is that you already possess discernment that is far more acute than they could have ever imagined. The reality starts to emerge without really facing the circumstance. Once influenced by rumors, people begin to contact you and ask for your opinion directly after understanding the stories they were told were false. To defend yourself, you didn't have to do anything. The truth was revealed to everyone when the deceit was exposed by the divine force guarding you. God operates in your life in this way. He converts the schemes of those who would do you harm into nothing. Their plans fail miserably, not because you controlled events, but because you trusted God and let the truth emerge naturally. All they accomplished was to reveal their own personalities, but they believed they might ruin your reputation. Every day, those who once misjudged you realize that you are under divine protection. The road to triumph has already been carved out for you by God. Therefore, no weapon used against you can succeed. You know that this is the surface level, the mask. Even though they may perceive youth, the strength of an old spirit, shielded, led, and empowered by forces far greater than their finite minds can fathom, lies beneath. They'll discover that God's chosen are never really exposed, never really at risk, and never ever defeated. Because of your youthful appearance, you have been disregarded as someone who is not yet capable of grandeur. What people fail to realize, though, is that God has always seen your humility and heart. These are the seeds that have been subtly planted, growing beneath the surface and remaining undetectable. To those who lack the vision to know how much potential you possess, God is going to increase your days, your efforts, and your influence. They thought they could use what they thought was inexperience. Those who questioned you will be struck speechless when the world sees the power of divine multiplication in your life. You are about to experience an irresistible change in your life, a growth so profound and quick that even you may initially find it difficult to understand. God has not intended for you to rise gradually. Rather, it is a rocket into spheres of power and wealth that will astound all who watch. They believed they could keep you little and invisible, but God had other ideas that could not be explained by their incomplete knowledge. You will soon be exalted, and the speed at which it will occur is a divine illustration of how the lowly are exalted over all expectations. People who used to ignore you, who made fun of your efforts, or didn't even bother to acknowledge you, are suddenly seeing something that they can't explain. As God doubles your efforts tenfold or 100-fold, they watch as you are propelled into areas they have always wanted to be in, but were never able to. This is the divine multiplication power. In their view, something inconsequential has now been elevated to unthinkable levels. You've sown seeds of faith that are sprouting and growing faster than the laws of nature. God's promise has been fulfilled. You are not constrained by the opinions of people who didn't think highly of you. You belong to a higher order where the currency of elevation is your good heart. The world will soon realize their mistakes. Their underestimate is God's response to your ascent, and they will be amazed as you fulfill your calling. Nobody is aware of how much you've given. You have repeatedly prioritized the needs of others before your own, even when they didn't recognize your value. Your youthful appearance was mistaken for inexperience, but they failed to see the depth of your heart or the silent power that underlies your altruism. Because they believed your kindness was limitless and unrestricted, they believed they could exploit it. However, God witnessed all of your sacrifices and instances of giving without expecting anything in return. Those altruistic deeds were not lost in the din of a society that frequently ignores the good-hearted. They are about to blossom in ways that will leave others dumbfounded. The seeds were sown in faith. What you have poured out will return to you doubled, and this is the moment that God has been preparing for all along. Whatever you offer with a pure heart comes back to you in spades, according to the divine principle that controls the cosmos. While others exploited you, writing off your generosity as weakness, God was recording everything so that your selflessness would not be forgotten. Currently, the roles are being reversed. Even if you have never sought or sought affirmation, you will undoubtedly receive recognition. Because of the goodness you never withheld, the same individuals who formerly ignored your charity will now stand in wonder as blessings pour down upon you. Think about how you have always been the person who lends a sympathetic ear to those in need and when no one else is willing to help. Because it's in your nature to care, to support, to encourage, you have given without feeling obligated. Not always did they recognize it. Because you appeared youthful or inexperienced, some people even assumed that you didn't appreciate the significance of what you were offering and took your generosity for granted. But you did. And God did, more significantly. Every loving gesture and selfless moment was documented. It's time for you to get now. God assures us that your selflessness was never in vain. Even though you gave without expecting anything in return, the divine was always planning a recompense that was much more than you could have ever dreamed. Your generosity and heart were never a sign of weakness. Rather, they were your greatest strength, and those who misjudged you will see the hand of God in your life. It's being elevated in plain view now. You're constantly surrounded by voices, those who believe they know better, others who question your talents due to your youth, and those who assume you lack the maturity to make important judgments. They don't realize, nevertheless, that you are not influenced by men's ephemeral judgments. Your path has been guided by God's hand from the start. Like a shield, His divine direction makes sure that every action you take is intentional and in line with a plan that is much bigger than anything they could ever imagine. This life is not something you are merely getting by on. When people fail to perceive your potential, the Creator Himself sees it and shapes your path. God gives you wisdom that is beyond your years, wisdom that is based on timeless principles and divine insight. God sees a vessel eager to be filled with wisdom and guidance that surpasses human comprehension, whereas others may see inexperience in you. You will not go through life in a daze. God is the one holding your hand, so you will navigate every obstacle you encounter and every choice you make with clarity. The clamor around you is not as loud as His voice, and the opinions of those who doubt you are not as trustworthy as His promises. Nothing can divert you from the prosperous path that has been laid out for you. Your steps are divinely arranged. You are at a pivotal moment in your life, where you must make a choice that seems to determine the course of your destiny. Everyone has something to contribute. Too young, too inexperienced, or too self-conscious, some people believe you can't make the proper decision. But you know deep down that those voices aren't based on reality. You ask the one who knows all for guidance in your prayers, and the answer is obvious in that surrender moment. Your heart's desires are so perfectly linked with an unforeseen chance that no one else could have predicted, and you know it's divine. You make no hesitation. Because you see God's hand at work, you don't question yourself. As you seize this chance, doors start to open, one after the other. Once obstructed pathways are now open. Those who questioned your capacity to make such a choice are left stunned as they see how God's direction drives you on with an inexplicable force. They believed that your youthful appearance was a sign of indecisiveness and that you would stumble. They were mistaken, though. They failed to recognize that you are not journeying alone. God is guiding you, and His purposes are greater than anything they could have imagined. Even when others see no path forward, you may be sure that God will always find a way for you. He will unlock previously sealed doors and guide you to possibilities that others could never imagine. You won't get lost if you seek Him. You possess His wisdom, and you will use it to overcome the constraints placed on you by others around you, as well as your uncertainties and worries. He will always light the way, and your route is blessed. They have made an effort to hurry you, query why things haven't gone more quickly for you, and make fun of your patience. But what you already know, that God's time is perfect, they don't grasp. They believe you're lagging behind or that your progress is slow. They don't realize, though, that every waiting moment has been purposeful, every deliberate pause. You are not in the rear. You are following a beat that can only be arranged by divine hands, and you are exactly where you should be. Their speed doesn't matter because your trip is in line with something much bigger than their mundane routines. As others rush forward seeking approval and speedy outcomes, you have been steadily constructing. God has been working on you during this period to make you more refined and ready for the abundance of gifts that will soon overflow your life. What they see as a delay is actually divine preparation. It wasn't a punishment every day that went by without the breakthrough you were looking for. During that time, you were strengthened, sharpened, and prepared for the precise moment when everything will come together. They believed your waiting was in vain, yet you were being prepared for something much more than they could imagine. You have seen people around you seem to move quickly. They gained the recognition, the connections, and the promotions. You continued to trust them and hold on to the belief that there was more for you as they reached milestone after milestone. You could feel their eyes on you, their silent criticism, the faint sympathy for what they perceived to be your stagnant advancement. But your ascension was unrelated to their timelines, something they were unaware of and would never comprehend. It had to do with God's. And when God moves, He moves in ways that are so great that all else becomes inconsequential. Then, one day, the door suddenly opens. You know it was worth every moment of waiting when the chance you've been waiting for finally materializes, because it is so completely in line with your calling, your purpose, and your heart. It's a divine appointment, not just a chance. It is so much larger than anything others who hurried before you have ever seen, that it left even you speechless. As everything comes together for you in ways they never imagined, the same people who previously felt sorry for you now stand in shock. In His perfect time, God has given you what they rushed to accomplish on their own, with a magnitude they couldn't have even attained in their haste. Divine timing is confirmed in this way. You never had to wait in vain. Each delay was planned to help you grow. Every failure is a divine preparation for your growth. God was working in your behalf, not preventing you from succeeding. As the pieces come together, the world will realize what you have always known. God's timing is extraordinary, not just flawless. You won't miss what is meant for you, and when it does come, it will be much more than you could have imagined. When the world saw you, it saw only your limitations. Believing that hardship would shatter you and grind you down, they believed they had you figured out. But what they didn't understand was that God had already strengthened you before they had any doubts about you. You handled their derision with silent fortitude, never having to prove yourself to others who didn't perceive your value. While others faltered, you remained steadfast, grounded in the understanding that their limited perspectives couldn't quantify your power. It had been tempered by hardships that would have devastated anyone else. Not you, though. You were never intended to meet their standards because God put something in you that they would never comprehend. You're not just tough, you're unbreakable. Every challenge they placed in your way, every muttered skepticism, or every outright rejection merely strengthened the foundation that God had already placed in you. Their inability to understand the divine essence that nourishes your spirit caused them to underestimate you. Ignoring that it was the silence of someone who walks with God, whose strength is rooted in something far higher than human approval, they misunderstood your apparent serenity for inactivity. The moment they've been anticipating, the moment they thought you would fail, has finally come. In front of you is a task, whether it's an important assignment, a difficult test, or a stressful circumstance that they thought would be your undoing. They watch, certain that this is where you would fail. Their opinions are loud. They have clear expectations. They wish for you to fail. But you don't lose your cool. They don't know something that you do. God is with you, you know that. That the pressure they're trying to apply won't be able to break your strength. Your faith serves as your compass as you navigate the difficulty with grace and fortitude. As they fumble, attempting to predict your breakdown, you stay calm, unflinching. There will inevitably be a win. Not only do you come out of the situation victorious, but you do so with such strength that they are left in shock. Those who questioned your abilities are left dumbfounded, unable to understand how you overcame them. It is now evident to them that nothing in the world could have given you your strength. The source of it was the divine link you've always known existed within you, the God who sees what others cannot. This is the season of your triumph. They couldn't have predicted or anticipated that your struggle wasn't anything to be feared, but rather that it was what made you the powerful person you are today. Even though they may have laughed at you, questioned you, or even felt sorry for you, they now have to see you rise. When the strength they disregarded becomes evident, they will at last understand what it means to be God's chosen one. Not only have you overcome hardship, but you represent the epitome of God's fortitude. And this is just the start of things to come. The people who misjudged you, believing they could write you off because you looked young, are now confronted with the reality they were mistaken. In reality, what they perceived as inexperience was old wisdom, cultivated by your strong bond with God and forged in the furnace of resiliency. You are a chosen one, a spirit much older and wiser than their naive understanding could ever comprehend. Their attempts to weaken you simply serve to emphasize the very strength they were unable to perceive. The blessings and advancement that are entering your life are not coincidental or the result of pure luck. They directly stem from your unwavering faith, the solid foundation you've established through hardship, and the divine favor that has been leading you the entire time. All of the difficulties you encountered and the times you were disregarded or undervalued were a part of God's plan to fortify and get you ready for what is currently happening. Not only will others notice your rise, but it will be indisputable. You have a compelling narrative. Others who have been similarly undervalued may find hope in your story of victory over uncertainty. The strength of your spirit and the depth of your relationship with God are what truly give you power, as you have demonstrated. Tell your tale. Let them witness the reality of what it means to be selected, to overcome adversity, and to be a living example of the wisdom of God that resides within you. Thanks for watching.